Hello, Talk Cosmos Chat, and I'm Sue Rose Minahan, and my guest today is from the Moonbeam Team, Liz Muschett from Camano Island in Washington State, and we're going to talk about the full moon happening on January 28th, and it'll be at 9 degrees Leo. So hi, Liz.
Hi, Sue. Thanks for having me back. So, the Leo full moon is um, very exciting. We have the moon in Leo and the sun in Aquarius opposite each other. And I want to point to the planet next to the sun, and that's Jupiter. So, the sun, Jupiter together in Aquarius in that eighth house. So, the light is there in the eighth house, asking us to transform. But I think even if we take baby steps to some kind of transformation, it's going to work out very favorably for everyone. So that's really exciting, I think. What do you think, Sue?
I really relish those words, baby steps, because without judgment, and that's a so important part, I think, realizing about baby steps, particularly when we're talking about Jupiter, because Jupiter is so expansive. It's easy to see this enormous picture ahead of us, and it can become overwhelming without even realizing it when you in conjunction with everything life is presenting to us now. There's so much change from the external world, and of course our own changes. So this idea, I mean, our own changes in relationship to how we're coping with personal and others, and we could get into why all of that is, but it's such a theme. So that's a very good reminder. Baby steps. I applaud.
Thank you. And we're at the full moon, so you can stop sharing that now.
Okay.
And I
Oh,
want to
and
go
I'm
ahead.
thinking too, because it's the moon, a full moon, that's mother nurturing and a baby, right? It's good to
Yes,
remember. Yes, thank you. All right. I'll,
the full moon time to me is about illuminating and bringing things to completion, or bringing things to the light, bringing things out, maybe finishing, putting some polishing touches on them. And we have two cycles. We have the yearly lunar cycle. So if you were to look back approximately 6 months, on August 18th of 2020, we had a new moon in Leo at 26 degrees of Leo. And if you do any kind of manifesting or wishes and desires on the new moons, you could have put something out to be working on. And now, 6 months later, it's possible that you're, putting the polishing touches on that. A lot of people have been moving. So maybe they've, you know, moved to their new place, and maybe now they're starting to settle in. That would be one example that I would use for that. And then I want to talk about the lunar gestation cycle. Are you looking for
I
the
am, and I
chart?
was looking at full moon instead of new moon. I do apologize. Yes, but that in getting prepared. Go ahead. We'll stop
Okay.
sharing that.
Okay. I wanted to talk about what's called the lunar gestation cycle, and that's a 3-year cycle. And this full moon is in the middle of that cycle also. And that cycle started July 31st of 2019. So if you do any new moon manifesting and maybe made notes, you might be able to go back to July of 2019 to see what energies you were putting out to bring in. And we're at the halfway point now. So it's like, how is that coming together? Um, it could have been something that you thought about doing, then COVID hit and it kind of like washed away that desire, because maybe you were thinking of opening a restaurant. And as we know, the restaurant industry is having challenges at this time, and several restaurants have gone out of business. But maybe it was something else and you weren't really sure how it was going to go, but maybe it went beyond your expectations and you're doing fantastic right now. And how do you keep moving forward with that? in the lunar gestation cycle, there's 4 parts to it: the new moon, the first quarter, the full moon or the full phase, and the third quarter. So we're at the halfway point, a year and a half, and so there's another year and a half to bring that completion. And so that lunar gestation cycle will end July of 2022.
Relating back to the past is are good points, because I know that looking at these two cycles, it's sort of like we could have started something different in 2019. I know for me, I was resetting some of my emotional life, and in a sense too, with this program, I started these panels later. So that's most interesting. And now they've got expanded on YouTube. And then I think about a year ago, I actually made that move to come over to Hawaii. And so it is fascinating to see that it doesn't have to be the same theme necessarily, except, from 2019 or 2020. So were you
Well,
going to go on to something else, because, or do we want to talk about because that one last year in conjunction with this year, I think has a lot to do with action, because Mars is conjunct that Uranus. So those changes, we're really activating what changes. And then Ceres was conjunct the Neptune. And so it's partly the grief, the collective grief that we're on different dimensions feeling, and to be compassionate about, to try to reclaim.
yes. I just have one more thought about the lunar
Oh, yes.
gestation cycle. I was teaching astrology classes. I'd started up some classes, and before the first quarter in April of 2020 hit, I'd already, put the classes on hold. And now I'm thinking of working on doing classes by Zoom. So I just wanted to kind of give an example of how some things were going for me. But did you find that chart for August 18th of 2020, or no?
Well, I will certainly look for it. Yes, I think I did actually,
But we
but
can talk
continue.
about
Yeah, continue.
this full moon from the new moon, but we could talk about the full moon that we're in right now more.
Yes, we only have a few minutes. Go ahead.
Well, we have a T square and a grand cross. So to me, all those squares is asking us to make adjustments. So, how are we lining up? And it's like, maybe we're having a challenge. Maybe it's a small, minor adjustment, but all kinds of little adjustments. I would say that there's also an aspect of our value system asking to be adjusted on many levels. So, how am I having to make adjustments? Um, maybe I like a big house, or maybe I like a small house. It can be on many different levels. Maybe I want to live closer to my children, or maybe my children want to live closer to me. Um, so that's really exciting that, but I think
Is,
that
is this
baby
what you're
steps.
looking at? Pluto and Venus? Yes, at 25 degrees. Is that what you're looking at right here on the outside chart? Because I made a duo chart,
Oh,
the full
okay.
moon on the outside and last summer's new moon on the inside, so that people could see. But you're right, uh, Venus and Pluto are conjunct. That's
Yes.
talk about changing our values.
And transforming, but yet staying in your heart center and compassionate and coming from your heart. It could be a desire, maybe you've been thinking about it for quite some time and you just haven't really done it. But it's like maybe now you're going to have the courage to make an adjustment, possibly. Um, and, that's a nice aspect, that Pluto Venus there. And it's making it a nice aspect to Vesta, a trine in Virgo.
Down
So,
here, yes, in the
yes.
fourth house.
So that's why I'm kind of getting it. It's very possible it could be around home or living. Doesn't necessarily have to be, but it very much could be. So,
That's very helpful with trying to recreate our sense of what's blocking creativity, that moon in Leo. I thank you, Liz. This is always so important, and I love connecting with you always. And we, you know, you can find about Liz at Liz Muschett and on Talk Cosmos. And we wish you a wonderful full moon. So,
Thanks.
okay.